and pleasure to introduce Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson. He is an ordained Centers for Spiritual Living minister, serving the Center for Spiritual Living Greater Baltimore community as our spiritual director. As a lifelong learner with a passion for self development, personal transformation, transmutation, and transfiguration, he has frequently been referred to as a Renaissance man and visionary New Thought leader who makes complex metaphysical concepts readily understandable and applicable. His mission is to live, move, and be an active member of society who serves to educate, elucidate, and emancipate people and communities to awaken and empower themselves. ACTIVE is an acronym that stands for authentic, compassionate, transparent, inspired, vibrant, and empowered. And he continues to live his bliss as a teacher, minister, author, workshop and seminar facilitator, visual artist, ASL interpreter, and ASL performing artist, mentor, father, grandfather, and more. I give you Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson.
Hello and greetings. Thank you, Susan, for such a wonderful introduction. I truly appreciate you. So good morning, everybody. So before we begin, some of you may have heard, may not have heard, but before we begin, I would like to pause for a moment of silence in honor and recognition that today's service is dedicated to our beloved brother, Derek Neal. So simply pause and breathe and bring to your memory, bring to your heart space what Derek means to you. And breathe. So, Derek, I'm going to do my best to get some preachification on today. We love you and we appreciate you. Thank you for being in our lives. Today, we are talking about this thing called joy, but specifically the ode to joy. How do we begin to work together? If you were here for anything that Sue shared, anything that Amma sang, then you get this idea that how are we together creating the possibility, creating the atmosphere to demonstrate and manifest a world that works for everyone. And it begins at this individual level, but if it stays at the individual level, it doesn't do anything. So it's how does it shift from the individual to spread out so that the collective now is anchored and grounded in this thing called a world that works for all, which means we have to heal our individual things as well as our collective things. We have to address our individual things and address our collective things. We have to heal, we have to shift, we have to evolve individually, family trauma, baggage, beliefs and paradigms and states of consciousness that don't serve us, that are not life affirming individually, and do the exact same thing collectively. Are you ready to embark upon this? Because we begin with a test. For those of you who are musical, what is this Ludwig van Beethoven tune? You have 10 seconds. 7 seconds. Come on now. I don't see anybody typing stuff. You're taking too long. And joyful, joyful, we adore thee. Joyful, joyful. That is the Ode to Joy, written by Ludwig van Beethoven. I would love to see how Renuka did that accent. But you may also be familiar with this idea of ode, having watched Willy Wonka, who said, "We are the music makers and we are the dreamers of dreams," which comes from author O'Shaughnessy. Shaughnessy, yes. We are the music makers and we are the dreamers of dreams. We are the movers and shakers of the world forever, it seems. Are you a mover and shaker? Are you demonstrating and manifesting what it means to be a maker of music? Whether you sing or not, whether you play the drums, percussion, whether you are a flautist, whether you are a violinist, a pianist, doesn't matter. Are you making music simply by saying hello? Are you dreaming the dream of a world that works for all in the manner in which you cook, the manner in which you bow to say namaste, the manner in which you walk gently and powerfully on the earth? Are you moving and shaking to create this? Because everything we are doing is a type of poetry. An ode is a type of lyric poetry. For those of us who may not know what an ode is, I can hear Tracy now. What's an ode? Odes are elaborately structured poems that are praising or glorifying an event or an individual, describing some aspect of nature intellectually as well as emotionally. The manner in which we communicate. What are we praising? What are we glorifying? What are we exalting? Because when we are complaining, that is an ode. That is a type of poetry. That is a type of praising, right? Like in the spectrum of life affirming, non-life affirming. This spectrum of faith. Empowering faith is life affirming. Non-empowering faith, fear, worry, and anxiety. Where on the spectrum are we showing up? Where are we engaging and anchoring our power? Where are we speaking from? What are we speaking to? Are we speaking to the truth about what a world that works for all is? Are we speaking to the truth about what love is and what love can do? Or are we speaking about, well, you know, it's business as usual, same old, same old. Yeah, I can't complain. Okay, so if you can't complain, then why even put complain in a sentence? Tell me what you can do. I can't complain. Then what can you do? How are you today? You know, so I can't complain. How are you today? You know what? I can be in a state of joy. I can be in a state of gratitude. Tell me what you can. Speak about what you can. Praise what you can. Glorify what you can, not what you follow what I'm saying. Because we have a choice. And the words that we speak, the way that we show up is crafting, is manifesting life affirming or non-life affirming? A world that works for all, or the system that currently exists that is going to continue to exist if that's the energy that we are giving? Business as usual? Business as usual. Is that what we're doing? Are we anchored and grounded in same old, same old? Are we anchored and grounded in the consciousness of what has been to such a degree that we are going to continue to promote the ode to fear, the ode to hate, the ode to separation, the ode to pseudo power? Is that what we are touching and agreeing when we show up? When we show up in community, is this what we are going to continue to do? Is this what we are pledging our allegiance to? Fear, hate, separation, and fake power? Or are we ready to do the serious work? What did Sue say? It takes courage to evolve, to shift, to heal, to resolve whatever is going on. It takes courage to walk the walk of what it means to be and manifest a world that works for all. Are we willing to say, I am authentic, I am courageous, I am audacious, and daily I, the ode to community, daily I, the ode to love, daily I, the ode to service, daily, moment by moment, thought by thought, word by word, daily, the ode to divine power. We have a choice. Breathe. Gandhi said, my life is my message. Now, we could do the entire talk just about what is your message? Your life is your message. Yes, Sue, because I know how much you love the acronyms. Yes, we're doing an acronym again. Yes. So the ode, if your life is your message, then your ode, it has to be the manner in which we have our daily expressions. Every day, what are we expressing? That's our ode. And when we embody science of mind and spirit, that it's in our thoughts, in our hearts, and in our bodies, in our hands, in our feet, our way of showing up, then our daily expressions are going to change from what they were to what they now are and what they forever will be, because we are anchored in principle. We are forever practicing the presence. And that's how we manifest a world that works for all. So pause and think about our daily expressions. What are our daily expressions? What am I expressing daily? Angst, complaints, gossip, frustration? What am I expressing daily? You know, I've often said, if your life was a reality TV show, what would it be that the audience is seeing in your life? Leo Babuta says, each of us lives a life that expresses who we are, reacts to the world around us, shows our passions, reflects our deep river of feelings and being. We might sing out in joy through our words and our actions and our expressions. We might hide in fear and in pain. We might lash out in anger. Everything we do, everything we are, expresses. Breathe that in. Everything we do, everything we are, expresses. Are we expressing what we, in order to create a world that works for all, in order to sing the ode to joy, in order to heal and transform and transmogrify creation, are we expressing what we truly desire to express? As Sue said earlier from Reverend Dr. Jim Lockhart, safe space in community is not about removing or eliminating discomfort. It has to be about, here is a container where discomfort can safely occur. It is providing a supportive place where we can experience all of the inevitable discomfort that comes with deep personal introspection and spiritual growth with support and understanding. Are we engaging in creating that space? If not, and I mean 100%, 99.999%, if we're not, then we are invited to step into that work. So let's revisit this idea. Ode, add an M, mode. Well, what is a mode? A mode is a way or manner in which something occurs or is experienced, expressed, or done. So, what is the mode in which you operate in the world? What is the mode in which you experience the world? What is the mode, right? You got me. Now, we know what an ode is. An ode is our daily expressions, our daily way of expressing who and what we are. So let's ask, when living this thing called life, how are you manifesting? How are we manifesting our daily expressions? How are we manifesting? What is it? What are we manifesting it by praying? Are we manifesting it by gossiping? Are we manifesting it by holding resentment? Are we manifesting it by what are we, in order to manifest, we are called into action. How are we manifesting? Breathe. The CSL Global Vision, one place it says, we demonstrate the oneness of spirit in everything. How much of? In everything that we do. Knowing that this oneness is inclusive of all ways that it shows up as diversity, race, age, ethnicity, culture, heritage, religion, political affiliations, experience, gender expression, sexual orientation, favorite pie, favorite song, all of the ways that spirit is showing up. It includes itself in all of this. There's nowhere where it's not. Spirit, it has to be inclusive of itself. It's all there is. How are we demonstrating this oneness in everything that we do? When there's a board meeting, are we demonstrating this oneness of spirit? When there's a family function over a holiday, are we demonstrating this oneness? When we show up at the polls to vote, are we demonstrating this oneness of spirit? When we are crossing the street and waving to a neighbor, are we demonstrating the oneness of spirit in everything we do? Even when, remember that discomfort that we just talked about from Reverend Dr. Jim Lockhart? When we are in contention, discord, disagreement, are we still able to anchor and ground in the demonstration of oneness of spirit, even when we are debating, even when we are discussing and disagreeing on something? Because if we are, then that will resolve itself in some way that is life affirming. Even if that means we continue to disagree. You know, Eugene, sweet potato pie is far better than apple pie. No, Reverend Ray, apple pie. You know what? Matter of fact, forget the apple pie. Pumpkin pie. No, bruh. I love you, but I have to disagree. We are demonstrating the oneness of spirit, and we need not go into everybody was kung fu fighting, because we simply say, I honor and respect your love for sweet potato pie, and I honor and respect your love for pumpkin pie. And then we move on in oneness, with love, with respect. Are we demonstrating this in everything that we do? The code. What is the code? A system of words, letters, figures, or other symbols like Facebook memes that are substituted for words or letters etc. The code, the manner in which you speak is a code. For example, if I say the word, I'm going to spell it SHIT. Eugene knows that that is code for something else, something that he spoke about in terms of this spiritual practice, this elevated way of showing up, that it's not the way that we typically use the words. Follow what I'm saying? There is code. When Tracy calls me Reverend Dr. Crumbly Crumb, it's a, she's laughing, it's a code. And it means he who cannot sit in the living room in front of the television without making a mess. It's code. We are always what we wear, how we do our hair, all of the things that it's code. It is representing something. Are we clear that our code is how we are co-creating our daily expressions? How am I anchoring and grounding when I am? See, when Amma is singing and performing, Amma is co-creating with us. Amma's not just doing, Amma shows up and Amma's like, okay, cool, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to sing, this is what I'm going to present. And it's not just for the sake of, this is what I'm going to sing, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to present. Amma's consciousness is, this is what I'm going to share in order to shift and heal and elevate consciousness. This is what I am going to allow to move through me for the healing of everyone who hears it and feels the vibration of it. This is what I am presenting for the co-creation of a world that works for all, one heart at a time. How are we joining in the co-creative process through the codes that we use? We envision a world where personal responsibility, individual, joins with social consciousness, social conscience, social interaction, the mass way that consciousness shows up in every area of life: political, corporate, academic, social, all of the ways that we are providing sustainable structures for the furthering of this emerging global consciousness, co-creating. When we show up in the corporate sector, in the academic sector, we are co-creating. How are we engaging personal responsibility, joint responsibility, collective responsibility in all areas, everywhere God is? Are we anchoring and grounding in that? You go to the bank. Do you recognize that God is in the bank? That God is the bank? You go to the ATM to withdraw money. Are you recognizing that the ATM is God, dispensing God? When you go to the gas station is God. The car is God. The gas pump and the gas, God. Are you anchoring and grounding in this divine reciprocity, recognizing that all of it is God? All of it? Because when we do more consciously, we are more readily available to all of the good that is available to us. That is spirit making itself known through all of this so that we can better co-create. Right? Like the first time, Amma says, Reverend Ray, look, this is a singing bowl. It's a what? It's a singing bowl. Does it sing? Well, I make it sing. Why? Right? Like there's this part of me that I have no idea what you're talking about, Amma. And then Amma shares like boom, and it resonates with me. I'm like, oh. And then now that I know what it is, what it does, I am now able to co-create with it, to engage in this resonance But if I don't recognize it, don't acknowledge it, then how can I do it? How can I make a sweet potato pie if I don't know what a sweet potato is? How can I make a pie if I don't know what a pie is? But the moment I know what it is, the moment I know where to find it, the moment I know where to find love, everywhere, where to find God, everywhere, then I'm able to actively co-create. I'm actively able to engage in practicing the presence everywhere as everything all the time, moment by moment, thought by thought, breath by breath. Breathe. Because then I realize and recognize that wherever I am, God is, therefore, it's always home. I'm always home. So when the prodigal son leaves home and goes elsewhere, based on our teaching, wherever he was, God was. He was home. He didn't realize it. So he felt like, I have to return home. But in consciousness, it's when we go out and we think, this is where it's holy. This place is where it's, that place isn't. That place is, it's just a bank. No, wherever you are, God is. So that bank is no less holy than, that bank is no less sacred than, it's all God. So everywhere we go has to be home. It has to be the place of spirit. So are you able to be in a consciousness where you are absolutely blessing, where we are absolutely blessing our daily experiences, our daily expressions? Are we absolutely blessing? Even when there is the challenge, are we able to find something within it to bless? For example, I just mentioned the gas station and the gas in the car. Gas prices are like, cow! But can I bless and say, in this moment right now, what I am grateful for, what I am blessing is the fact that I am able to have and experience this thing called money or gas, or even beyond that. I am absolutely blessing that I know that we are evolving beyond the need for fossil fuels. We are evolving beyond the need for even having this monetary exchange where, the price of electricity for the electric car is now where that is a thing of the past. I am absolutely blessing the ever moving consciousness of. Or am I absolutely cursing? Rub, 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 prices of. Rub, 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 bread. Rub, 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 gas. Rub, 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 rent. Am I absolutely cursing? Those people, I can't stand it when. And there's a fine line between venting and expressing, venting and shifting, venting, healing, complaining. It's a fine line between all of this stuff. The moment we anchor and ground, then we know I am saying this to get it off my chest, and you need not hear me reference it again, except in certain circumstances. Like when I'm speaking to my therapist and she asks me a question, then yes, I revisit certain things like, well, that was so last year. But she's asking for a reason, so I bring it up. And then she asks certain things about, well, what are you feeling about it? Well, you mean now or then? So there are certain things that are part of the process. But if she says, Ray, how was Monday? Remember back in 1978. And I bring that up every time we talk. For what purpose? So be clear. Are you being in a state of wherever I am, God is, and I am home? I am at home when I am visiting Sue at the river house on the river shark. Right? That's code, because Sue knows what I'm talking about. That's code. Ha ha ha. Right? Am I at home even when visiting Robin at her home? Am I at home? Am I able to make myself at home when I'm at the therapist, when I'm at a doctor's appointment? Because if I am absolutely blessing wherever I am and what I am doing, then I'm able to be at home. Breathe. David Bohm and Robert Weinberg say a society is a link of relationships among people and institutions so that we can live together and live together effectively. But it only works, but it only works if we have a culture which implies that we share meaning. In other words, that we share significance, we share purpose, we share values. Because if we are not sharing, co creating, opening and welcoming ourselves to home, that is our regular and everyday mode of operation, and the code that we speak is about this significance and the purpose and our values. Otherwise, things fall apart. There are insurrections, there is destruction, separation, segregation, racism. Otherwise, because we are not coming together, the relationships are disjointed. So how do we as a society, how do we as a community link our relationships? As an institution called CSL Greater Baltimore, as an institution called CSL, as an institution called the United States of America, how do we link relationships, find culture, significance, equity, and values that are shared, that evolve and heal us together? Breathe. Because when we are able to step into that space, then we come back to what Sue said. I am authentic, courageous, audacious, and I am able to explode. I am able to burst forth. I am able to show up in this rapid expression of. I have no need to withhold my light. I let my life explode forth. I let my love explode forth. I let my joy and my joyous laughter, because is this joyous laughter? Tracy said, nope, not from you. Letting my laughter, letting my joyous laughter explode means that I laugh and the neighbors can hear it. Letting it explode, letting ourselves expertly live, to expertly be living our daily expressions, our daily way of being, the very presence of the divine in a manner of expertise, a manner of effectively and powerfully stewarding who and what we are, letting our authenticity explode out and ripple out, letting our courageousness explode and ripple out, letting our audacity to be love, to have joyous laughter, letting it explode and ripple out. Because, as Dr. Cornel West says, never forget that justice, never forget, and these are my words now, never forget that love, never forget that joy, never forget that equity is what love looks like in public. In public, when you go to the grocery store, when you go to the park, when you go to work, the manner in which you show up in public, how you show up in public. Because public, if it's whatever you say, whatever you do around other people in public. Praying, that's a thing, I pray here in my house. But when I go out in the world, my life should now be my prayer. My life should now be my prayer in public. My meditation on my cushion in private. But then when I go out in the world, my life should be my meditation. When I communicate, when I pose to take Christmas pictures, That should be part of my meditation. That should be part of my practice. So let's go back to where we began. Ode to Joy. How we begin this work on an individual level and collectively. That is how we demonstrate in community what it means to manifest and demonstrate and create, to co-create, and to explode a world that works for all. Moving from this idea of me to we, truly understanding what it means to be in community. Community is not made up of just me. It's all of us. And not just us in CSL Greater Baltimore, not just us in the Greater Baltimore area, not just us in the East Coast, not just us it's all of us. How do we spread and share this amazing, wondrous joy? How do we serve the planet? That's how we manifest and create. But we have to do it first here. How am I generous with myself? How do I self-care so that I can then be a caring, loving, supportive partner with another? How do I anchor and ground into this idea of what it means to truly make music, what it truly means to have this ode to joy, what it means to truly engage and practice the presence. There's a practitioner in Asheville, Charlie Shepard, who shared with me years ago. He wanted to create a bumper sticker. You are God, now act like it. So years ago, I heard this song. It was sung during a commercial. And I thought it was, very fitting. I'd like to build the world a home and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honey bees and snow white turtle doves. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to hold it in my arms and keep it company. What do you want to teach the world to sing? I'd like to teach the world to sing so they all know their love, to know that God is where they are because it's all there is. What do you want to teach the world to sing? Breathe. This week's practice. How many communities do you belong to? What are 3 key predominant characteristics of each of these communities that you belong to? Because there's a lot. When we really anchor and ground into it, there is a lot. Pause. Grace Lee Boggs says, you cannot change any society unless you take responsibility for it. You cannot change CSL Greater Baltimore unless you take responsibility for it. You cannot change CSL unless you take responsibility for it. You cannot change your family unless you you follow me. Unless you see yourself as belonging to it, belonging in it, and you are responsible for changing some aspect of it. So what in society, in your communities, are you taking responsibility for? And what are you doing to change any aspect of it? All of it. Like, what are you doing to change you within it and to change the energy, the mode, the code, the ability to be home within it in order to explode this evolutionary consciousness? And then lastly, have a conversation with, I know it says 2, we're going to do 4. Have a conversation with 4 people. How do you think your spiritual perspective, science of mind and spirit, how do you think your spiritual perspective could be of service to any of these communities? So pause, just as an example. One of the communities I belong to is my family. It's a community. How do I think my spiritual perspective could be of service to my family? How do I think my spiritual perspective could be of service to the LGBTQ community, to the people of color community, to being African American or Black, to being male, cisgender male, various communities, the New Thought community, I belong to it. How do I think my spiritual perspective of science of mind and spirit, of practicing the presence, could be of service in all of the communities that I have identified that I belong to? And what would it take for you, for me, for we to begin to take action on those changes? Breathe. This week's affirmation declaration, I will say it first, and if you feel in alignment with it, say it with me on the second go round. I am one with the circle of life. Because we know there is only one life, and that life is God. So when we say, I am one with the circle of life, I am one with that which is God, is what we are saying. Breathe. Together. I am one with the circle of life. Simply anchoring and grounding in this moment, anchoring to this breath. We recognize that though this thing called Sunday service is coming to a close, the way that God is infinitely and eternally in service to itself continues, which means the manner in which each one of us shows up in the world is God continuing to demonstrate, to manifest, to express how service occurs, how relationship occurs, how community occurs, how the manifesting of a world that works for all occurs. And so we go out into the world and we do what we know how to do. We love, we share, we nurture, we honor, we respect, we shine, and we explode with this thing called joy. And we sing the song of life. And the law says yes. And to that we say, and so it is.